Good day and welcome to this special edition of Spotlight called GM's Corner, a regular series of short conversations with LMOA's General Manager Steve Hurwitz about what's on his desk and what's on his mind. And I should mention at the outset, we're recording this on Tuesday morning, September 18, just for time reference purposes. And Mr. General Manager, my first question is, did anybody on staff get any sleep last night? Judging from Communications Manager Judy Fish's tattoo of emails between roughly 12:30 and 3 o'clock this morning, it seems like everybody was up. I presume you. She mentioned Greg, the marina manager, checking lines. The maintenance folks are out there seeing about trees down, etc. Wow.
Well, I'd say the average, the staff that was out last night, number of people, probably got 2 hours sleep if they were lucky. I know that's all I got. And we did have an emergency, extremely high water and rapidly rising. The initial response was maintenance responding to a call of a downed tree and some high water. They were out, and then almost immediately thereafter, we get regular monitoring of the lake depth, level rather, continually, 24/7, and the lake started to rise about the same time and rapidly. So we called out the team, and there were a number of people that came out shortly after 1 o'clock and were basically up almost all night until the early hours this morning, and taking care of the lake, making sure that we were removing water in the face of this rapidly rising water. And it's a good thing that we did, because we got to what we now think is the highest the lake has ever been. And it's all in reference to zero, which is the normal pool level of the lake that everybody's used to. And it got to plus 33.
Oh.
So that's 33 inches above that level. And we started below zero because we had, on a preemptive basis, lowered the lake last week with the dire forecast that we had. And it turned out to be a good thing in this case, although this weather that cropped up was unusual, I'd say a freak, but it did come right across the lake continually for a couple of hours and drop an awful lot of water, so we were all up.
I can imagine. How do things stand right now, and what's the prospect for the next couple of days?
Well, there's a couple of aspects. First, in terms of the level of the lake, it's coming down, and last check it was at plus 27 and coming down slightly less than an inch an hour. We have all the valves open on both the spillway and the main dam. So that looks positive. We're going to draw that down as far as we can over the next 24 hours and then judge from there about how low we have to go pending any weather. There's a whole other aspect to it. The water got high enough to really affect the docks and boats. There are a lot of yards, lots on the water that have water on their lots. None of it appears to have come close to the homes, but the effect on the docks has been rather drastic. So we have a number of, the docks are basically underwater. Some of them are cattywampus, including Tufton. The fishing pier is rose, and then as it settled, it didn't settle level. So we'll have some work to do there. And then a number of boats actually broke free and drifted various places. There's boats and kayaks up on a number of the beaches. So what we're doing in that case is we have a team going around identifying all the boats that we can that are broken loose, and we'll be publishing that list shortly after 4 o'clock this afternoon. We are asking people to not go out on the docks.
Yeah.
Of course, they can do what they like on their own docks and their lots for the waterfront properties, but it's not safe to go out on the docks now. Minor exception is the marina, and people are welcome to go there and check with Greg and see what's safe. He'll know that. But that has been quite an effect on people, all kind of things floating around in the lake. In fact, there's a swimmer, and if the swimmer is hearing, he should get out of the lake pretty quickly.
Really?
The lake is closed. Yes, for safety reasons, obviously.
Well, it's reminiscent, not that anyone current resident was here before there were any homes here, but it was another hurricane, Camille, back in 1969 that basically filled the great ditch that became Lake Monticello and stalled out tragically over Nelson County, and over 30 people lost their lives. So these things, as we have obviously discovered in recent days, Florence has not been kind.
Well, I used to think that was maybe a little bit of folklore. I no longer believe that, because with an effect of 10 inches of water impact on the lake, we got a rise of 3 feet. And so if you take 3 times that amount of rainfall, you're talking about clearly enough to turn a construction site into Lake Monticello overnight, as has been reported. I now believe that.
And the original decision was based on the original forecast to basically to lower the lake because of the fears that we've had now.
The original forecasts were for as much as 30 inches, and then a slightly lower forecast. But again, that was 3 or 2 times not only what we've experienced, but there are other dams similar to ours that have been defeated, overcome, and broken by that amount of water. And the challenge is, once you get sufficiently behind and the water is accumulating faster than you can pump it out, you have no choices left. We didn't want to do that. So that's why we lowered the level. It did have a negative effect on a lot of boat owners and so on and so forth. We realized that. And then as the forecast changed and the path of the storm was the predicted path changed and it looked like there'd be less impact, we held up at about -13 was the lowest we got. And that would have given us enough headroom, if you will, based on the changing predicted amount of rainfall. But I'm glad we did it. And so the fact that we were below 0 in this case helped, although it wasn't the circumstances we foresaw. And it appeared that Florence had bypassed us, but not quite.
Yeah, yeah.
So that turned out to be a good thing. And we would do the same thing again.
If folks do have comments or questions, well, then they may about where do I find my boat or canoe or something, or questions about concerns and procedures, what should they do? Whom should they get in touch with?
Well, that's a good question. We've got a team going around identifying all the boats that have broken loose, and we'll have a list at 4 o'clock. People should call into the front gate if they've lost their boat, and then, again, they should stay away from trying to find it on their own, either from the water side or the land side. That's just not safe. And then we'll be advising people, because we have the registrations on those boats, we'll be able to identify people boat by boat about where their boat is, and then help them make plans to retrieve the boats once this situation is resolved concerning the high water.
All right. And we've had some power outages, have we not? First, a few days ago, the front part of the lake apparently was out. And how about as of last night, this morning?
Well, we did have previously 5 sections were involved kind of intermittently. That power actually took quite a while to restore. My own and the home that we're renting, we were without power for 17 hours.
Ooh.
So, and other people were also in our local area were out for that same amount of time. It was a transformer just up the street that Dominion came out and fixed. Right now, we know about power outage in the area of the Monish Gate. There's 2 lines down, and that effect is that it could be as many as a couple of hundred. I didn't get the exact number before coming over to see you, but we think it's around 200 homes without power. And again, about Old Dominion, you can log in or call in and get an update individually. And we're sure people are doing that. We're following that as closely as we can.
And you're planning, I understand, to report on all of this to the board. Will that be Thursday night at the board meeting?
Yes, it'll be a week from this Thursday.
Week from Thursday, that's right.
We will, it's appropriate. There's a very important set of plans that we put into effect, and it's appropriate not only to let the board know how did the plans work, is there anything we need to add, and there are some items. A lot of owners have been very kind about letting us know about things that would have been helpful to them, and it turns out that it would have been helpful to everybody. So there's some things that we're going to add to our procedures, but also, again, we owe the board an explanation of what we did, why we did it, what the numbers were, and what the effect was, and then any additions that we plan for our procedures. And I've also invited, I am inviting now, any owner that would like to make that kind of input. that is very welcome. And they can just email me, and that's the best way. Phone would be really difficult. We're kind of busy, but with email we can get to it and make sure we're covering all the concerns. People have been very precise in their comments and very helpful, and I think the more the better in that regard. So S. Hurwitz at lmoa.org, and then we will get after it.
All right. Okay, that's fine. On a entirely different subject, perhaps a little brighter, shall we say, understand we have a new food and beverage services manager.
We do. We made a great hire. A person experienced both at the retail end in terms of responsibility for running restaurants, a number of restaurants, and then in larger capacity running real big operations in some institutions like hospitals or universities. So Andrew Kerner, who is going to start on October 1st, and we're looking forward to that. The way I view it is a really solid base has been built. Robert White did a great job in bringing us up basically from dirt, the buildings, and the whole operation. Starting restaurants is a difficult thing.
Oh, it's a challenge.
So he did a great job, and he's moved on to what I called his dream job, and now Andrew is going to take over, and we think that's going to be a great addition. I know the staff is looking forward to having a director. They don't want me to tell them how to run restaurants.
Okay, all right. Well, all right. Anything else? I imagine there are other subjects that kind of got pushed underneath all this particular pile that's current and has to be dealt with first. So maybe we can let that go until another time, unless it's urgent.
Sure. I know I'm going from here right back to participating in the survey.
All right.
We are working with our insurance company on what damages there have been to common property, and in that regard, people should know that whatever damage they have, they may have coverage for it. They should talk to their insurance companies. In the meantime, we're going to get as much information out as possible, including a report on what boats are where that we can find shortly after 4 o'clock today, so that will keep us busy the rest of the day.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and somewhere along the line, maybe, well, there's certainly early night to bed, maybe for you and the rest of the staff. And it's something that, matter of fact, editorializing here, that some people might keep in mind to hear about this staff turnout and staff work in the wee hours of the morning. Next time folks have some kind of gripe that's eating at them, they might think about this. Got a pretty hard-working staff, and thank you and the rest of the staff.
You're welcome. I'm very proud of the team. Just opening the dam, the dam main valve at about 3 o'clock in the morning is quite an exercise, and it has to be done right, and there's some danger involved. And it was done smoothly and quickly.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's congratulations to you all, and thanks to you all.
I will pass that on.
Thank you. You've been watching General Manager Steve Hurwitz on this special edition of Spotlight called GM's Corner. We hope you'll join us again for future editions of GM's Corner, not only this, but the rest of the programming schedule brought to you by the LMOA Broadcast Group. So until next time, this will be recorded and posted shortly on Channel 977 and up on YouTube. Hope you folks tell your neighbors a lot of information that may be helpful to them. And so until next time, on behalf of the LMOA Broadcast Group, I'm Ron Krause. Thanks very much for watching, and good day.